Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be doing the 100 painting challenge over the course of 3 days. And today is day 1 of that challenge. Wait, day 1 of the challenge. I'm going to be doing about 25-ish paintings today. And to be honest, I'm a little nervous. 100 paintings in 3 days is a lot of paintings, but the reason I'm doing this challenge is because I'm feeling a little bit stuck in my style and I really want to experiment and play with all the supplies that I have so I can maybe break through this resistance and art block that I'm experiencing. So if you want to come on that journey with me, let's do it. Okay, so I started off my 100 painting challenge off with these water-soluble crayons. And these are really interesting because you can draw with them and then water them down later. So I wanted to see what kind of effects I could get when I tried painting/drawing with these crayons. I haven't really used them too much in my artwork, so I wanted to try them out on these 6 different sheets. And you can kind of see everything that is happening here. I just start adding water on top of what I've already drawn, and I started getting some pretty cool effects. These weren't my favorite out of all the ones that I made, but it was interesting to play with them and try them out, and I think they would be more fun to use like in an actual large painting. Like maybe if there's already a layer of acrylics on the canvas, I could go back and just add some fun little details with these crayons, or just interesting mark making in the background, and then maybe water them down on top of that. But I can't imagine starting with these crayons. Oh yeah, I also really liked this shape that I created across this page. I really like how it kind of looks like a heartbeat. I hadn't really intended for that, but afterwards I noticed that it looks like a heartbeat, and I love the way that that looked. So in the future in paintings, I'll probably just use these crayons for interesting mark making in the back of my paintings, just to add small details here and there. But like I said, I won't use them for an entire piece. Like I probably wouldn't use them to start a piece. I would just use them for interesting detail and marks in the background. For my next set of 6 paintings, I went ahead and started playing with some high fluid acrylic inks. I absolutely love these inks. I use them all the time, and I just wanted to see how far I could push them. So here I'm just playing with, watered down inks, and then I have this little scraping tool that helps push around the paint, and I wanted to see what kind of effects I could get with this tool, and I actually got some really, really fascinating stuff. I love the way the swirls look, and just pushing around the inks is so much fun. And here I'm playing with different colors, trying to see what kind of combinations I can get. And I just absolutely love inks. I can't say it enough. Oh, and I hated this color combo. I ended up turning it brown because I mixed purple and yellow, which is a big no-no in the art world. So I started to add more yellow to try to fix it, and it just got worse and worse. So here I am playing with some more inks, and like I was mentioning in the beginning of the video, I'm really trying to loosen myself up. I've been really feeling stale with my art lately, so this whole 100 painting challenge is to help me really loosen up and try things I haven't tried before, so that I can hopefully take these new techniques into my artwork going forward and feel like I have more tools in my tool belt to try to play with when I go to make larger paintings. So here I'm playing with more inks, but this time I added in some modeling paste, and just to add some more texture and thickness, and it didn't really go how I was hoping it would go. I hoped the paste would make it more fluid and help make it, just give it more texture, and it actually just ended up looking blob-like, very blobby and mushy, and yeah, not what I wanted, not what I was intending. But towards the end, I started doing this scraping tool with these ridges, and I really liked the way the scraping tool looked. Next, I pulled out these Sakura oil pen thingies. I'll link them in the description. But I started playing with them and some acrylic inks, and I just wanted to see how they would react. And I didn't like the way they looked, so I moved right back to using just acrylic inks. And now I'm playing with acrylic inks and my foam brush. And then there's a few more of those Sakura pens. Sakura oil paints? I don't know. I'll link those just below. I can't remember what they're called. And I do like using those in my paintings, but with this technique of putting acrylic inks on top of them, it just wasn't working out. That's kind of why I sped through it, because I didn't like the way they turned out. But here I am back to moving around acrylic inks because I'm obsessed with them. I'm also clearly obsessed with the flowing wavy pattern. And here I am adding inks to some texture I had already laid down before. So there's modeling paste underneath, and then I'm spraying some water on top of acrylic inks to get kind of a high flow situation on top of the texture I had already made. I tried to get video of me creating that texture, but it didn't show up at all on camera. So I'm sorry you didn't get to see that part, but I basically laid down the modeling paste and then played with some stencils and that same grooved tool to make texture underneath. So you can see the mandala on the top right, and then the same kind of wavy texture in the bottom. All of that was made with molding paste, modeling paste. They're the same thing, but different brands call them different things. And here I am doing that same technique. I'm spraying water on top of these inks just to kind of get a really messy, flowy look with different colors. And I'm trying to get the inks to flow into the different textured grooves that I had created, and it kind of worked. This one got messy, so I started dabbing it with paper towels. And then the texture started to really show through once I kind of soaked up some of the ink. Then I got real messy with it and just started finger painting, because why not? And that was a lot of fun. I actually really like the way this one turned out. It's playful, messy, and fun, which is always a good time. These next few are just water, and then I put acrylic inks on top of the water. So instead of just going onto a dry piece of paper, I was going onto a wet piece of paper with the inks, and honestly didn't love the way these turned out. They were messy in kind of a bad way, I feel like. I just didn't love the way that they were spreading. Maybe it would have been better if I was using a better paper, but this was like, think printer paper, and it was not soaking up the water, whereas if I had used a watercolor paper, it would have done much better. So maybe I'll try that in the future with a different kind of paper, and I'd probably get better results. I did like the way I was drawing with the inks, just kind of like moving it around as I was, dispersing the inks, so I might end up using that in the future. Sorry about this shot. My arm is like in the shot half of the time. I'm so sorry about that. But it's kind of a blessing in disguise because I hated the way these ones turned out. The color just wasn't right. The paints weren't like moving around the way I wanted them to. So these turned into just big messes. I didn't like any of these. And that's just kind of what happens when you're, making 100 paintings in 3 days. Some are gonna be not good, and these were a series of 6 that I really did not like. They were just too messy. Like I said, not in a good way, and yeah, those are done. They're just moving on. And here's 6 more. Like I said, I'm obsessed with inks. I cannot say it enough. So a lot of the paintings I did were with inks, just trying to find more techniques that I like to use that I can maybe take into my bigger paintings. And like I said, I love these swirly patterns, so I'll definitely be using those in the future. Next, I moved on to using some gold leaf, and I had a really fun time with gold leaf. I'm kind of loving gold these days. I just love how shiny it is, how magical it is. And I found this little jar of like gold leaf that was $3 at the dollar store, and I wanted to see what that would look like if I played with it. And now I'm trying to put some paint on top of the gold leaf, and it turned out okay. I think in the future I would do paint first and then gold leaf on top of the paint, because otherwise it gets a little bit covered. But I do love the hot pink with the gold. It is giving me life. I'm obsessed. So at this point, it's the end of day 1, and these are the results of day 1. The paintings already take up most of my studio floor, and my hands were covered in inks. All right, it is day 2 of the 100 painting challenge, and I'm gonna be painting about 33 or 34 more paintings, which will total 66, 67 paintings so far in 2 days. So let's do it. So on day 2, I decided I was going to play around with spray paints. I've had these spray paints for a while, and I've just never really used them because, to be honest, I'm really uncomfortable using spray paints. I just feel like they're really hard to control, and I don't love the colors that I have, and that combination makes me just kind of stray away from them. I don't love to pick them up out of my art supplies, but I figured if I spent some time with them experimenting during this 100 painting challenge, maybe I could get a little bit more used to them and, I don't know, start to like them, maybe. So I'm trying a bunch of different techniques. I'm trying, spray painting lines and swirls and polka dots and, spray paint on through stencils and all these different things just to try to get a little bit more comfortable with spray paints. And you can just kind of see me struggling with some of these. Like I said, I don't know how they blend. I don't know how to make them look good. So I'm just playing around, trying to make them look good. And some of them are a complete mess, and that's fine because this is an experiment, and that's why I'm doing 100, because some of them are good and some of them are definitely not so good. But I gave myself the opportunity to try and play, and honestly, I still don't really like spray paint, even after I did a bunch of spray paints. Not all of them were pictured in the video because I forgot to film a couple of them. Like, I thought I hit the record button, but I hadn't. So anyway, this next set of paintings is done with water-soluble graphite. So I had a couple of these from when I did the Milan Art Mastery program, and I didn't really use them too much. So I wanted to see what it would be like to actually create a bunch of different pieces with just the water-soluble graphite, to see how far I could push it and what I could actually get it to do. And it was actually a lot of fun. I don't love graphite or charcoal because it's usually really messy, but with this, I had a really, really good time. I did get really messy. My fingers turned up straight up black, like black swan black. But I loved playing with these. I was surprised because I actually don't usually love playing with black. I actually prefer color a lot more than just black and white, but there's something about these that was just flowing really well for me. So I may end up using these in my paintings in the future. Not sure how yet, but I think I want to. I also love this one because it looks like a tree trunk or something. And towards the end here, I'm just using the side of the water-soluble graphite to make some really interesting marks. And I love these. They're so much fun, and I didn't mind my hands turning completely black, surprisingly. Okay, it is day 3 of the 100 painting challenge, and I am ready to finish this thing up. I've got 33 more paintings to do, and I'm ready to just dive in and finish this thing. So let's do it. Here I am again playing with more acrylic inks. Yep, I know. You've seen me do it this whole entire video, but I just can't help myself. There's something about the flow of the acrylics that makes me so happy, and I just wanted to play with them more. So here I am playing with them more. And I'm sorry again, my shoulder is in the shot. I don't know why I can't get my shoulder to stay out of the shot. It was just such a weird angle, and I'll try to do better next time to not have my body blocking the camera. But you can still see the idea of these ones here. So once again, playing with acrylic inks, and then I was using that ridge tool to make some interesting looking shapes and lines with the inks. And I'm just really seeing how far I can push these inks because I do love them so much. What else could I possibly do to make them more interesting? And what color combinations could I make? And sure enough, as I kept pushing myself with these 100 paintings, I kept finding more and more ways to make it look cool and more ways to make it look ugly. So the one on the bottom left looks like straight up ketchup and mustard just everywhere, but maybe in a good way. And here I am. I actually wanted to try using some gold acrylic ink in one of these swirly whirlies that I've been loving. So I was trying that out, and it didn't really work the way I was hoping. Maybe I needed to use a different brush. I think the foam brush was soaking up all the ink, whereas if I had used a regular brush, I may have been able to do that a bit smoother, but it still looks pretty cool. Next, I am doing more acrylic inks, of course, with some gold. So I'm loving acrylic inks, obviously, and I'm also loving gold. So those are 2 themes that I'll probably take forward into my next series once I finally do start creating that. Acrylic inks and gold are my new fave. And that's it. That is 100 paintings. So now I'll just go through and show you my favorites out of the 100 because there were lots of goods and also lots of bads. But these ones I liked because I got those interesting lines with that grooved tool. So I wanted to show you that. I really liked the grid and the lines that I could make through the texture or through the inks and really play with that line work. With these next 4, I really liked how I was able to use my new Mandala Stencils. I really played around with them and figured out what would look good, whether that was with texture and modeling paste or with the spray paints. I just found new ways to use them and incorporate them into paintings that aren't obvious but still look good in a really subtle way. I like how that middle one has the pattern of like different mandalas, so I'll definitely be using that in the future. And of course, here we have my beloved acrylic inks and the swirly whirlies. I love the way this looks. Don't know if I'll be able to recreate it, but I do like the way that there's thick lines and thin lines, and I had run the back of a brush through that ink to get that look. With these pieces, I really loved the gold mixed with purple or maroon or pink. I really, really love the gold accents. It just adds so much magic and character to a painting, and I can't wait to use gold more in my paintings coming up. Maybe I'll even practice playing with some silver or rose gold as well. I just ended up pulling gold for this challenge, obviously, a lot, but I love the way it shines when you tilt the painting back and forth. And finally, I just like the way this color scheme looks together. I like the teal and pink and purple look, or maybe blue and teal and purple and pink. It's just something about this color combo is really doing it for me. So yeah, that's what 100 paintings looks like. I did that in 3 days and I'm super happy with how they turned out. I'll probably end up using these papers as collage papers in my paintings going forward, and I hope you enjoyed coming along for the ride. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out my Instagram at CarlyJeanArt, and my website is carlyjeanart.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!